Good morning.
Good morning.
I usually look around for a little bit of humor to come up with, to share with the crowd, to kind of get things moving along. And I was arm wrestling with this one, but I decided it was time to give it back. I tried a couple of weeks ago, I received an email from one of you guys. I don't know which one it was. It said on the email, but I don't remember who it was. But they sent the world's worst joke. So what I thought I'd do is I'd come right back and hand it back to them. Okay. It's about Gandhi. Gandhi traveled all over with no shoes. So his feet became super calloused. He ate almost nothing, so he became very frail. And because of his diet, he ended up with bad breath. So what you ended up with was a super calloused, fragile mystic hexed with halitosis. Gotcha. Payback. Whenever I talk to groups like this, it's actually kind of special, because the people here are looking for a little more insight, looking for a little more depth and understanding about what's been happening. You know, you can go to practically any church anywhere, and they'll tell you how a God-fearing individual should act in order for God to appreciate you. You should do this and you shouldn't do that, and if you do that, then God will accept you. That doesn't sell so much anymore. The whole idea is that the people are trying to grow past the understanding that's related to suppression of thought and ideas, and bring into their spirit an understanding of a much bigger, broader perspective and bigger universe than has ever been known before. We're looking at a time and an era when religion and science, for the first time probably in history, are getting closer and closer and closer together. All along, what they've really been is two sides of the same page. Science wanted to tell you how life began, and religion wanted to say why it was here. But for some reason, they couldn't seem to get to an understanding back between the two. They wanted to push and pull and arm wrestle for position. Personally, I like the middle of the road. We're here, and I really don't care which came first, the chicken or the egg. It doesn't apply to me as an individual. What applies to me is that I have the opportunity to exist at a time when things have never been this way before, where you can share understanding and you can speak openly and you can talk about different belief systems and not get run out of town for it, chastised, ridiculed, or whatever it happens to be. There's a lot of very narrow-minded people still in the world, but guess what? They get to stay over here now. They can be as narrow-minded as they want, but you can be over here and look at something different and allow them to be that, but still at the same time you have the opportunity to grow where you've never had it before. And this is very, very important. Organized religion, we'll pick on Christianity just for a moment, but they're all basically the same. If you look at it this way, they all offer you a great deal of understanding and a solid platform to work from. The problem what goes after that is basically there are rules and regulations on how to live with the world out there. They don't talk a lot about at all the world in here. And the important thing that I'm going to focus on and look at today is to get you to take a good look at you. I'm serious. You're going to introduce you to who you really are. Most of the people in this room have accepted the fact that you have a higher self. But what they forget is they keep buying in and getting caught up, because everyone does, in the experiences of life, so that you get kind of drawn back in to a subjective position and lose your perspective and understanding of consciousness. The way to start making it work in a different panorama for you as an individual to go through sort of the paradigm shift is understand that there's two different rule systems going on, and you have to be aware of it. You know, they studied atomic physics, and then they got into subatomic. And you know what they found out was the set of rules work over here under this one just fine, but they don't work over here the second that you shift the gears a little bit. Well, what I'm trying to get at is this. If you were to take yourself and draw a line right through you, everything out there is on one side of the line and everything over here is on this side of the line. That's the experience zone. That's where the input comes to you. This is the processing zone. Over here is where you as an individual deal with it, where you deal or you work with or don't work with the information that you've assimilated during the day. The different rule systems is that's a tangible world. This is touch, feel, experience, and you can have those experiences. But then again, that's the illusion. Even though it's real, you got to remember one of the rules that come along the way is you're just passing through. This is a short zone. You're born over here and you die over here, and you're only here during this period of time. The universe has been around for billions of years. You're this little teeny window of time, and you're just passing through it. So as much as this seems like what there is and all there is, and that it's real and tangible, it's a very short term. And again, it's the illusion. Not that it's not physical, but it's the illusion. It changes the rules inside, because what happens out there is something physically being moved is a tangible expression. Okay? If you come inside yourself, the new rules that you play with are called intangibles. You can't see them, taste them, feel whatever, but they're extremely powerful. Who in this room can say that there's something that's motivated more people than love? How about fear? Hate? Can you go get a pound of hate? 2 pounds of love? No. Incredibly powerful forces. And you use them on yourself every day. Because as you process and as you go into that world and experience things, you come back inside yourself and you go over whatever it is. Oh, I had a great day because I did this and this, or this went well, or it was terrible because it didn't go the way I wanted it to over here. And you can either, feel really good about yourself or beat yourself up. But the bottom line is, whatever happened out there was out there. Where you're dealing with it is on this side of the line. It's where your heart and your consciousness is actually working and interacting with you as a human being. As people, and we're looking at an era in today, I can use this as an example because there isn't anyone in this room that hasn't heard of holistic health. Body, mind, spirit. It wasn't looked at just a few years ago, it was just kind of shined on, but now it's become a solid foundation around which they're building. The mind and the spirit don't deal with this. The mind and the spirit are back on this side of the line. They're dealing with those intangibles. Remember, they talk about bioenergy flow going through you, and how you think and how you feel creates blocks or flows in that energy. And whether that energy is flowing, then you have health. And when it gets blocked because of stress or anger or fear, you get blocked energy. It's called dis-ease. Once again, it's not out there that's regulating those two factors. It's all in here. You got to start taking a look at how much you really control and influence what's going on out there by what you're dealing with and how you're handling in here. Big step. Because what you've done is you created a room or inside yourself, you created room to start being the master of your own fate. You, for the first time, can start evaluating your decisions, how you feel, your expressions, and your understanding of what's going on, and use that, bring it out, and deal with the world based on it, rather than totally subjective, coming back at it from a position of not knowing and understanding. When you're inside here, we were talking about the religions. Every single one of the masters, in their own way, has said, the door to heaven is right through here. The key is understanding that it's within you. The control, the power, the insight is all in here. Remember we talked, you all realize that you have a higher self. That higher self knows every one of your strengths, every one of your weaknesses, your fears, your joys, your sorrows. Where in the world could you go for better counseling than go talk to someone or something, your source for information? You not only have a higher self, but that higher self is connected to the universe. Yeah, the big source. You have access to it. You got your own shot at the internet from the inside out. You can go anywhere in the universe and connect and get understanding and knowledge and insight. Because the key are right there. The problem is that it isn't, people get so caught up in the experience zone, and that's really the reason it's done, and that's the reason it's done that way. Because this is a big opportunity to grow and to learn. And you only really grow and learn when you're taking a test. In the sense that if you knew all the answers and you could see all the pieces the way they are, you'd be cheating on the test all the time. The way that you get around that is you kind of put blinders on yourself. Get caught up in the middle of something so that your perspective about the universe all comes down to what's happening right here. And then you start evaluating who and what you are and how it works and everything on this little piece. And that little piece is going on out here. You got to remember to come back to inside here. Each individual is different. Your game plan is different, your lesson plan is different, your experiences in the past are different, your experience of the experience you're having now is different. I can take everyone in this room to Bangladesh and have them describe what they felt. And you'll hear everything from, my God, I love the culture and the energy, the presence that was there, to down to, geez, it stinks and it's hot, you're sweaty, and you're going to get out of that experience whatever you want. Rusty back there loves to go camping. You know, he says, calls me on the phone all the time, Larry, you want to go up the mountains? And my answer is, camping to me is a motel. And roughing it is a black and white TV. And that's it. Bless you, Rusty. Have a good time. I'll see you when you get back. But to him, being out there and sharing it and doing it is important. It's something he enjoys, he learns, he experiences from, so he can come back and with his batteries recharged. Because it takes away from him an experience that's overpowering and gives him one that he can deal with and embrace and feel comfortable with. The whole way you fight this battle out here of the overpowering is you get out of the subjective position and start getting into an objective position. Whenever you're dealing with anything from a subjective standpoint, you're swimming upstream. It flips around and starts going the other way when you start to get objective and take a look, because then you choose whether or not you buy in. People don't realize, but you're exactly where you chose to be. All the decisions that got you to where you're at right now, you made somewhere along the line, whether before you came, while you were here, or when you're looking towards the door and heading out. But you made those decisions. Let's say you could go back, and how many times if you'd have said, if I'd only known then what I know now, I wouldn't have done. or I would have done, or I could have done. The second that you got objective or can get objective in the middle of what you're doing, suddenly all that changes and comes back on board. Is there any situation out there that you couldn't handle better by being objective than subjective? I don't care what it is. Because you're able to make a decision based on more than just what's in front of you and coming at you. The second that you give that place the conscious, or that place the title, or that place the designation as the stimulus input zone, and realize that's what it is, and give this place my holy ground, where I can come and work and deal with and handle. You've created the space, that buffer zone, and you've given yourself a position of realizing that no matter what comes in out there, you can handle it. Why? Because there's an answer in there somewhere. And if I'm objective and work through it, I can find a way past it. There are so many trials and tribulations in life that everyone goes through that just seem like such horror stories. But somewhere in the midst of it is an opportunity to transform that into an understanding or a growth or an insight or an inner strength by learning to see past whatever that illusion is. There's an old saying, pain only holds on to the hand that continues to hold on to it. If it's a painful experience, figure out why it hurts and deal with that. Not the experience, the why am I hurting over it? Someone left my life. Well, they were taken away and died. You can't control that. God's got his hand on that one. But you can either feel bad about the whole situation or turn around and appreciate the time that you had with them. Embrace the understanding and the good and the brotherhood or the family or the whatever it was that you had at that moment to work with. Once you understand the intangibles and you feel those thoughts and the things and the energy that moves, you never feel alone anymore because spirit is right there. You can sense it, you can feel it. And that person that's gone, they're right there too. They become someone that is even closer to you than you were before. Why? Because they're only a thought away. They're there whenever you really need to just think about who they were and what they were, even if you're not talking to them. Okay, you're not clairaudient, you're not clairvoyant, but you can remember who they were and what they represented to you, and think about that and visualize them, and you'd be surprised the energy that starts moving forward, the input that you start getting just by opening the door and letting it happen. And it hasn't got a thing to do with what's going on out there. It's all on this side of the line. So I guess within the whole situation, it's about getting that line out here where you can start to understand which side of it you're on. You have to move out into here. That's why we're here. We're here to experience life and grow. And I'm not one to sit here and tell anybody not to do anything. Everybody's playing a role. Everybody is being the very best person they can given the circumstances and situation and their lesson plan. Everybody can't be a nice guy or you don't have problems. Problems are the opportunity to grow. You need a positive and a negative for it to happen. So the universe, God, the source, whatever, creates that interaction, that opportunity to grow, that circumstance to deal with. Everybody's got to play a role in it for it to happen. And when you put it out there, it seems real. And it's really real until you step back a little bit and start to perceive it from here. It can still be real, but it's real from a different understanding. Out there is an incredible source of insecurity and fear and struggle, as long as, and along with all the other, with pleasure and love and joy, all of that's there too. The stimulus that can come at you. But understanding how it stimulates you, what stimulates you, and starting to take a look at the lesson plan that's going on, that you'll start to understand once you go and start getting within yourself, and you create that space and you visit it regularly, and you create that rapport with your higher self, you'll start to see things because you get objective, and you'll look at patterns that you've created in your life. Some are good and some are not. Some you may want to change and shift it and have it to be different. Well, interestingly enough, if you keep coming from a subjective standpoint, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's a heck of a lot tougher than if you come back and start to understand the process and rearrange it. Reverend Judy here works with a process called kinesiology all the time. And what it does is it simply muscle tests the energy flow in your body, and it'll tell you whether it's flowing or not, just like that. So you bring up a subject, whether it's flowing or not, and it can tell you yes, no, right, wrong, this, that, and in no time at all you can isolate an incident in your life that either makes you very happy or very unhappy, that cuts this energy off. And based on that, you can set up a process to change your experience of that experience. Change the pattern, reroute the energy so that when that comes up, it doesn't jump over here to, oh, gee, I'm reacting to it, but gee, now I understand what it was and can deal with it. It quits being a stumbling stone and starts becoming a stepping stone. You turn that subjective position into an objective understanding of what it is and what it represents to you as a person. It's now your power, not your fear. And you control that. There's nothing that if you ask people what they appreciate and understand or accept in people, more than anything else, it's confidence. When someone comes in and says this or does whatever, and they just really appreciate someone that's confident about what they're doing. Not loudmouth, not boastful, not this, not that. I'm just talking about confidence. Because they're centered from where they're coming from. Each and every one of you has access to that centered position. Each and every one of you can build your own confidence each and every day. You can take the things that make you fearful and remove that barrier. You see, there's something very interesting that goes on. Fear is not a bad thing. Fear is a very, very good thing. Fear protects you. It alerts you to potential danger. It's resistance to fear that does everybody in. The second you tighten up because that button was poked, you choke, you this, you that, it sets off a series of events inside you that triggers whatever it's going to be. But go back and deal with it and handle it, figure out what it is, and when it comes up, it's something else you know how to deal with. And if you start to get uneasy or scared about something, don't panic with it. Come back to that zone very quickly. The more you do it, the quicker you can slide back into that mental state just for a moment, just long enough to clear your mind and have it come back on. And you'd be surprised how you can deal with it totally differently. It takes just that long to do it. It's a thought, but you've rerouted that energy. So now you can deal with it, work with it, share it, pass it around. It's not beating you up anymore. It's not twisting off the bioenergy flow. It's not creating the dis-ease or the stress or the struggle. It's just something else you dealt with, worked with, and moved on. They're your tools. I got a little homework assignment because I'm getting a little long here. That way I don't have to talk a whole lot more. What I want you to do, and you know, there's good news and bad news about this homework assignment. The bad news is you got one. But the good news is you get to grade yourself. Yeah. Of course, then again, it's really hard to cheat if it's you grading you. But the homework assignment is to take a few minutes each day and just set aside a zone inside yourself. So many people have taught, you know, the meditation and about getting still and about focusing and doing all of that sort of stuff, which is great if you really want to take it to the next levels. But if you just want something that works for you on a daily basis, something that you can put into your life, that you don't have to be a phenomenal medium to do, that Works for just about everybody and anybody that can use it. Take that time, get a little bit on the inside, and let yourself introduce yourself to your higher self. Let it start to come in. Let it start to give. It's a slow process. You don't want to be in a hurry. Just let it kind of slide in and get acquainted with you. But if you go there each day, when you come out, you wake up the next day, there's just something that you wake up and there's an answer there, or there's an understanding, or you feel guided, or these things happen. It's just a source of information and understanding that you can use each and every day. And the neat thing about today is today you can make the difference. The difference is you can do something about it. Yesterday you can't do a thing about it. Tomorrow's not here. So take that time, invest it today in your own future, in yourself, in your objective understanding. And then draw a line. What's out there, leave it out there. When you come back into your holy zone, be with yourself, be in this, then process it in understanding. So when you come back out into the world, you're doing it from a totally different understanding and perspective. There's an old saying, the questions are endless, but the answer's always the same. Life is what it is, and what you make of it, it's up to you.